Hi, I'm Sam.
And I'm Andrew.
And we're MV Board Gaming, and today we are, my arms are short, we are going to be looking at Globetrotting, which is published by R2I Games, designed by Jeffrey Chin and Andrew Nerger. So Andrew is going to show us how to play this, Andrew. And then we'll be back for our final thoughts.
Yeah, Andrew Nerger's not here. I'm going on vacation.
He's going to be our special guest.
See ya.
Okay, so Globetrotting. In Globetrotting, you just resigned for your boring, dead-end job, and you are going to be planning 3 epic trips now that you have resigned to fulfill your bucket list. You're going to plan a trip in the spring, a trip in the summer, and a trip in the fall. All right, so each player is going to try and score the most fulfillment points by planning efficient trips for each season, fulfilling their own private goals as well as some public goals that you're going to be going for. Each player is going to receive a bucket list objective, one for the spring, one for the summer, and one for the fall. And this is going to be played over 9 rounds, and whoever has the most points at the end of those 9 rounds is going to be the winner of the game. Now, depending on how many players you have in the game, setup is going to be a little bit differently. If you're playing with 3 or more players, you're going to have these companion boards here, your travel companions, and those I'll get into a little bit later. If you're playing with a 2-player game, you're going to use the festival side, that I will talk about as well a little bit later. And also in the 2 players, you will use these little festival tokens that will be underneath these starting cards. Now, starting off, everybody's trips are going to start in the same location. So here in Chile, that is going to be the starting location for our spring trip, marked here by the 4-leaf clover. Tokyo is going to be the location for our starting spot for our summer trip, and then the Serengeti is going to be the start for our fall trip, here marked with the leaf. On your turn, or everybody's going to be playing simultaneously. There'll be a little bit of communication, especially if you're playing with 3 or 4 players, or if you have the expansion with more players. But what you're going to be doing is you're going to be flipping over a card for each. So we have Tobago there, Teotihuacan, and Giza. All right. And what you're going to do is you're going to choose one of these 3 destinations to go on one of your trips, right? So you're going to be referring your bucket list items. So for example, here, my spring break bucket list is that I will score 1 point for each destination in columns B and C. Now, your globe is broken into a number of columns and rows. Your columns are listed here at the top, ranging from A all the way to L. So for my spring, I want to try to get as many destinations as I can in the B and C columns. So I already have 1 starting there, which is great. So I just happened to get lucky. But Tobago is in D, so that's not going to help me achieve any additional victory points. And while I'm planning out these trips, I'm also trying to fly efficiently. So when I am flying, I am trying to spend the least amount of money, because I'm going to place how much money I spent on each flight. And at the end of the game, I'm going to score 2 points for each player that spent more than me. So I want to try to be very cheap with my flights so that I can score maximum amount of points. All right. So I might not want to do that in the spring, but maybe I do in the summer. My summer bucket list is that in summer, if I visit 2 locations in Asia and 1 in South America, I will score 5 victory points. Well, right now I've already got 1 in Asia, but I need to go 1 more in Asia and 1 in South America. So I'm 1/3 of the way there. So I might want to, if I go to Tobago, that is quite a flight, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to be measuring from Tobago, or from Tokyo, and I'm going to line it up here on my globe here with Tobago. And then once I do that, so let's say I did this just for fun. Let's say this is what I chose. Okay, so I'm going to fly from Tokyo here. So I'm going to line it up with my board. I'm going to make sure it's all lined up just nice and dandy. Right? Make sure I get it good. Looks good. And then I'm going to draw a line. So I have it lined up here with this arrow. I'm going to take this here and I'm just going to follow all the way, whoops, I messed up there, to Tobago, right? And so that was $4. So based on where I had it from the point where I started here in Tokyo, flying all the way here, I'm in this 4 section. So I'm going to record my spending for my flight as $4. Okay? And this is a good way to know how many rounds you're going to have left, because once you have filled up all 9 of your spots, then you know the game is going to be over. All right? And I'm going to place an arrow. So I flew from Tokyo to Tobago. Now, if I'm playing with 3 or 4 players, I can check or maybe even try to persuade some of my neighbors to also go to Tobago on their summer trip. If one of my neighbors is going to Tobago during summer, I can mark this as a 1 if it was my left neighbor, or I'll mark this board for this 1 if it was my right neighbor. So if they go to the same location during the same season trip, you will get an extra point since you went there during the same season. So that's how you can get some points by maybe convincing a neighbor to go to the same location as you. You can get some extra points there. And so you can score 1 point for each season. So once I score a point for going to the same location in the summer, once I can't continue to do summer, I'd have to then try to get to go to the same location during the spring and the fall. Now, with the 2-player and solo, this is going to be your festival board. And like I said, you're going to have these tokens, these festival tokens, and they're going to go out on the board. They'll go under these locations, right? Like so. And what's going to happen is whenever you choose, let's say I went to Tobago, if I went in the spring, I would then mark this festival board here with a 1, showing that I took the leftmost location in the spring. I get an extra point, and I can do that up to 2 times. After that, I can't score any more points. So I might want to try to coordinate those locations based on my trips and try to see if they fit into my bucket list. All right, so that's how that's going to work. That's the only real difference there between the 3- and 4-player game and then the 2-player game. So you're going to keep doing this, traveling around, trying to meet these objectives. My fall objective bucket list was that I score 1 point in the fall for each urban destination. So you're going to see some different icons here. That is a urban location. The little umbrella, that's going to be a resort. There's also some historic locations, as well as some, I can't remember the trees. I think it's like a nature. But then there's, yeah, so each of these are going to have their own little location. One thing I will point out on the cards as well is that every card has its own little coordinates. So like I said, you have the letters here to tell you which column it's in, but then there are also numbers right here. So there's a 1, down here is a 2, and a 3. And so what you're going to be doing is you can find the location if you don't know where they are geographically. It also has a picture of which continent it's on to help, and it'll also tell you what type of location it is as well. So really easy to find those places. Also, the art is absolutely gorgeous on these cards. And so that's what you're going to be doing. You're going to be trying to spend the least amount of money as you're traveling. You're going to be scoring for your bucket lists, and you're also going to be scoring for your companion boards. And the last thing that you're going to be doing is you're going to be competing with your neighbors to fulfill these main objectives, okay? So the first one to do this, where each trip has 3 different destination types, if you were the first one to do this, you will score the 6 points by marking it in your passport, and then you'll cross that off because anybody else that achieves it after you will score 4. Now, if multiple people score it in the same round, then you'll both get the 6 points. But it is a little bit of a race, and there are a number of these in the game that you'll be able to switch in and out. Okay, so here you're looking for lines in all columns. So you want to make sure you hit every single column that we talked about in order to fulfill this objective. All right, and that's all you're going to be doing. Every game, every round, you're just going to pick one of the 3 locations. You'll keep flipping these over to reveal new ones, and you'll continue to plan choosing one for one specific trip, and then continuing on and on and on. And then after 9 rounds, whoever has the most points wins the game. And that's pretty much how you're going to play Globetrotting. They do have some alternate ways for you to play with drafting these bucket lists, as well as there is, I can't remember if it was, there's a travel agency cards that add a little bit more to it as well, with like player abilities. So yeah, so that is pretty straightforward. That's going to be Globetrotting. Let's take it back up top and tell you our final thoughts.
All right, and we're back from our vacation. That was really cheesy.
Our trip? It was, but that's okay.
But yeah, so thank you for teaching everybody how to play.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, let's go jump right into our criteria.
All right, so jumping right into it, let's first talk about the production of the game. Mm-hmm. Now, obviously, this game does have a gimmick to it, right? Every player has these 3D globes, these that you're going to be drawing on, planning out your different trips for, you know, spring, summer, fall. But I will say that I know that with this Kickstarter and everything, there was some issues. People had some difficulty putting the globes together, but they did a great job putting out a video that shows exactly how to do it. I did not have any problem with putting the globes together. Maybe the first time just to get your hang of it, but I really didn't. I did all 4 of them in like less than 10 minutes. I think the first time putting it all together. I did. And so even now, after I've done it, after I've played the game a few times, it's easy to just pop, go, done, kind of thing. So the production, it is a Road to Infamy game. They always have those little gimmicky things to the game. So this with the globes, you know, canvas with the translucent cards. Don't go in there with the dice tower thing. They always have something, and they definitely deliver here with the production. So I really liked the gimmick. I think it worked. I think it was. I think this is definitely a game that is going to grab people when they walk by and see it on the table. You're going to want to stop and know what is going on there. Like, how is that a board game and how does that work? This is definitely going to pull people in and something that someone's going to want to take a look at. Another thing is the art. The card art is so good. I could just sit and look at the cards just for fun and just not even have to play the game, but just look at the different art on the cards. I think they did an amazing job with the illustrations. I really enjoyed it. It makes me want to go on these trips for real, actually. I mean, I kind of want to go to all these places that are in here.
They're super cheap if you do it this way.
Right, yes, very cheap. So yeah, so the art is fantastic. Even like the map on the globe, I think that turned out really well, and how they did that with the graphic design, because they break up the globe into different columns and different rows and sections, so it's easy to find where locations are on the board. Even the cards show you the color of the continent, the exact coordinates for where these locations are. So if you're not sure where places are in the world, this really does lay it out for you, and I think it's pretty straightforward with the graphic design. So I thought they did a great job with that as well.
I like that they broke them up into sections, because I mean, sometimes it's hard to find stuff and you're like, where's that located? So it was nice to be like, oh, it's like F2 or whatever,
right,
to be able to find it. I thought it was brilliant the way that they did the whole globe thing. I also agree with the art. Like, it's really beautiful. And I mean, and it's not like cheap. I feel like the globes are not cheaply made or anything like that. Like, nothing's broken. Yeah, nothing's broken. Obviously, it's plastic, but like, I felt I felt like it was still good quality.
Right. I did get the upgrade for the stands, and I very much like that, so I don't have to worry about putting the little plastic stoppers on it. So I'm very happy. Those work very well and easy to put together as well. The one thing that I will say I'm worried about when it comes to production is the box itself. I love that the box is a, you know, like carry-on luggage, right? And it has this little magnet. However, I do think the box is a little flimsy, and you got to be really careful about the wear and tear of it. I don't. This handle is awesome, but I always do worry about it rubbing up and possibly tearing up this top part. So the box leaves me wanting a little bit better, more sturdy of a game. It does just feel a little flimsy, so I hope that it lasts. I don't want this to get torn up. I already have a little bit of tape on here because this lip, this flap, the magnetic thing was starting to tear a little bit. But other than that, I don't have any issues with any of the components. The wet erase and everything works really well. I didn't have any issues with the markers or even being able to clean it off. It might get a little dingy after a while, but
that was very smart too, like the wet erase marker
instead of the dry erase.
Yeah, because obviously you could just easily like rub it off your route, but yeah.
Also, I will say with the graphic design, I thought it was cool how they had different locations, like urban location, historic location, resorts, with even like the trees, the nature places. I thought that was really cool too, and added another level of theme to it. And even strategy, as we'll see with the gameplay. So, with that being said, we'll stop gawking over the production. Let's go ahead and talk about the preparation for the game. So, talking about setup and the teach. Setup is, again, once you learn how to put the globes together, it's pretty quick. I mean, you just get the globes, put them together on the stands, and then you're just literally handing out a few cards for the bucket list and setting up the main display for cards that you're going to be traveling to, right? And also those little companion tiles that you're going to be having. So, and even if with different player counts, there's a little bit of a difference when it comes to a 2-player game versus a 3 or 4-player game. But there's not really a whole lot different other than those little tokens that you use for the 2-player festival stuff. I believe they're called festival tokens. I could be wrong. I think it's festival tokens. So yeah, setup is pretty quick. The teach I thought was pretty simple. Literally on your turn, all you're doing is picking one of the 3 available spaces and deciding, do I want to go over there in the spring, summer, or fall? And you're just drawing a line, mapping out your flights. Make sure that you do a continuous thing. The first time we did a teach, like let's say summer started in Tokyo, you would be like starting every single trip from Tokyo in the beginning. So
that's because I always went back to Tokyo.
Apparently. I was like, why are you going back to Tokyo every time?
I just thought you always had to start there and went to different, which I mean makes sense. You're going from like one to the other
Right.
But that was something I missed.
I'm giving you a hard time, but that the teach is actually pretty simple, pretty easy.
I got it the second time.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And so maybe it was my fault with the teach. But and then you get to move. Everything moves pretty easy. You line everything up and draw your line, and you write down how cheap your flights are.
And you use the globe, the holder for the globe, to make your line straight.
Yeah,
I learned that too.
Yeah, for some reason you were trying to freehand it at the beginning. You literally just line it up. It's like a compass or whatever in math.
I know. Well, you know, it's been a while since I've done that.
And it has the amount that you spend. You know, a couple dollars for a flight.
Yeah,
I want to
really
go to that world. It's very cheap. But yes, it's a very simple little teach. Everybody has their own objectives that they're going for different seasons. And it's easy to teach because they're all kind of out there in the open. Everybody's going for their own thing. There's no competition, so you can help obviously teach that. And so it was pretty easy to teach for that game. Anything else about preparation teach?
No, I think it was easy to set up and easy to tear down. Like
tear down is just you got to wipe everything off.
That's the only thing. It's super simple.
Right, that's not too bad. And so next would be gameplay.
Mhm.
So
we kind of talked about that a little bit.
Right. I think it's a very thematic game,
Yeah.
right? You're planning out these trips. I think it's very thematic. I think it's awesome. I
It is
felt very
very
immersed
thematic.
in it. Everybody plays simultaneously, so there's no downtime whatsoever during the game because everybody.
Mhm.
The only thing is like, hey, who wants to go here during the summer? Because
You'll
if
get
you
extra.
right, you're going to get points if your neighbors go to the same place during the same season as you.
Yeah.
So that's a way to. So there is a little bit of interaction there and trying to communicate with people, or be like, "Hey, Samantha, we already went to the same place in fall. I don't care where
I
you're going.
keep
If you're
thinking
not going in
about
the
when
spring,
we
I
played
don't wanna
with
go."
Eli, where we'd be like, "Where are you going? Where are you going?" Because
Right.
he'd want to go everywhere you went, so
That's
then
right.
he got the extra. But
'Cause
then
I-
at one point, he couldn't get any more.
Well, he kept wanting to, and I was like, "I don't care." I was like, "I don't need you to come with me now. I've already got you once.
Yeah,
I
I
don't need
just
to do it
keep
again."
thinking, "Where are you going?"
Right. And so I thought that was funny. There's a little bit of player interaction. You know, maybe you can entice somebody to come to the same
Yeah.
location just to get that extra point. I mean, let's see here. The mechanics are pretty. I mean, I don't know. Like the mechanics of just like drawing, like that's really. I don't know. I liked it. I thought it was good.
Mhm.
I liked it. It's simple. This isn't a heavy game. This is a pretty
No.
light game. And it's a family weight game.
Yeah,
And
it's
so
a chill.
it does it well.
It's a chill game.
Right.
Yeah.
As far as luck versus strategy, there is some luck, right? Because you might need a certain place to pop up on a certain continent. And if
Yeah.
it doesn't pop up, or if it does pop
When you
up and
need
it's
it.
super far away, you're like, oh, I'm going to have to pay, $5 to get to this trip to be able to meet my
Yep. goals
and what I'm trying to achieve. That can be pretty lucky there. You might just have some difficult ones to reach. Or you need to make sure you get 2 of the same types of destinations, right? Like I need 2 historical, I need 2 resorts, right, for different ones. If they don't come up, then it can be a little bit difficult. Chances are they will, but you might be paying quite a bit of money to try and make it happen. So there is some luck to the game, but the game is also really quick. And this is a game that I would easily, clean it up real quick, let it dry, and then come back and play it again.
Yeah.
So there is some luck to the game. I did like the player interaction part of it too, where you're racing for those big main goals to get the 6 points.
Yeah.
So and that's a lot of points in this game.
It is.
So
yeah.
this isn't a very high scoring game, but I thought it was pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So anything you wanted to add to that?
Nope.
Okay. Easy. Next is going to be our return on investment. How did your level of enjoyment compare to your how did it compare to the amount of time you had to invest into getting this game to the table?
I would say it met probably exceeded my expectations.
Okay.
Just because, like, I don't know, initially, like, going into it, I wasn't really sure what to expect. Just looking at it, I'm like, it's like a globe. Like, what are we doing? But I feel like the time it took to learn and everything, the time invested in it, like it exceeded. I would say the second time it exceeded my expectations. The first time, obviously, I got a little screwed up. But the second time I was like, oh, okay, like I get it. And I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. For me, I had high expectations for this game because I remember seeing pictures of it before I think the Kickstarter went live, and I was super pumped because I was brought in by the gimmick. And you know what? It works really well. I love this game. I think this is a phenomenal game. It's a lighter game, which isn't something, it's something I enjoy.
It's a lighter game, but it's a very unique game.
Right. And so for me, this definitely exceeded or at least met expectations because I had a high expectation for it. But I didn't have to put a lot of time and effort into learning it or setting it up. And so this is one that I always look for opportunities to pull it out because I think this is going to be very eye-catching and will draw people in. So I definitely have a high return of investment on this. So with that being said, let's jump to our scores. What would you give Globetrotting?
I'm gonna give it like a 8.5.
8.5.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I thought it was really good.
Thought it was really, really good too. Man, I really like this game, and so I'm
10.
No, I'm not going to give it a 10. I'm not going to give it a 10. I'm going to give this an 8. I'm going to give it an 8. And that's a really good score, I think, because I tend to go for games that are a little bit more meaty, but I do like having these family weight games.
Yeah.
This could easily be, I mean, this is a 30-minute game. It's a great filler game. I love it. So 8 is very high. Honestly, if you love family weight games and like that's your way to go, this could be like a 9 or higher. If
They
that
got
was
a
your
lot of
go-to.
awards on the side.
Yeah, they do.
That?
This is honestly a phenomenal game. So when I say 8, I mean it's a really, really good game.
It's a good 8.
It really is. I love it, but I'm also a big fan of Road to Infamy games. And I'm very excited whenever they have a new game that comes out. So very high, 8.5, 8.
Mm-hmm.
Phenomenal game in my opinion. Please go check this out if you get the chance. Definitely give it a try. I don't think you will be disappointed in the game. Also, please like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know how badly you want to try this game.
What's your favorite travel game?
What games do you play when you travel? I don't know.
Or
And nobody ever answers these questions, so I'm just like, who are we talking to right now? Nobody, because nobody answers the question.
Nobody's
What's your favorite game
listening.
to travel with? I would travel with this. This would be sweet.
Oh my god.
Think people would know it's a game? Probably not.
No.
But anyway, like, comment, subscribe, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching.
Bye.